Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Cynthia. For those who don't know me, I am an in-depth spiritualist who works at the level of the soul. And this means I don't mimic other people on YouTube, and I am 100% authentic in the information that I bring you, as I have 40 years of experience behind me in my spiritual work and on the medical end of it, and with cancer as a survivor and a patient who is experiencing a secondary disease. I have over 20 years of experience working directly with the medical field and patient advocacy, not only for myself, but for others at various times of my journey. So I'm going to get right to the point about this channel. Everything that I do with my writing and with the work I do to promote myself in order to help others is done out of my own pocket. On my videos where they have placed ads, I don't make a penny off of those. Somebody else does. Several of my books have been digitally pirated, and people have marketed them illegally. So basically, it costs me money in order to bring this information, and that is because the majority of what I've had to say through the years has been highly censored. And this is why I am asking for your help. I really need for you to like, share, and subscribe if you feel that you are getting something out of these videos. Also, channels that survive YouTube need equipment. They need promotions. And I can't do any of that for you when I am constantly shelling out money and getting virtually nothing in return for it. So if you would like to make a donation to me, please contact me personally, as I will not post my PayPal due to all of the hacking. At one time, I posted my personal email. I won't do that anymore. You have to go through YouTube now because people have highly abused that privilege with their insensitive, foul, nasty behavior. That being said, I am going to get right to the point, and this is going to be done over a number of videos that will be woven through my other topics. Because, as you know, this channel is not all about the medical and what I've gone through with cancer. In fact, I have kept that under wraps for quite a long time. But due to the state that the American healthcare system is in, and the general state of our country, it is time for me to go full force with this and give you the truth as I am what's known as a practical spiritualist. I believe that to truly shine your light in a highly effective way, it requires being part of the earth plane, accepting the trials and the challenges that you came here to accept in order to evolve at the highest level that you possibly can. I also believe in body, mind, and spirit. It all goes together. So as a spiritualist, one can't simply spend the entire day in meditation letting the world go by when they are here to do a specific mission in many cases, or to heal at a level of mass consciousness by being an example in whatever their path is in life, which does require really getting down to the basics in your authenticity in every aspect of your life. So, if you've seen my blog and my video about my journey that I am currently on in healing and preparation for the next phase of my treatments for osteoradionecrosis, then you know I have been poisoned by radiation. Now, when I found out that I had this disease 22 years ago, after being cleared from oral cancer and neck cancer, I looked for help because I wasn't getting what I needed as far as post-cancer care went. And I was doing a lot of research. I had quite a bit of knowledge medically and dentally. And I knew that over time it was going to get a lot worse and eventually take me out if I didn't get the help I needed. So when no doctor would help me and the insurance kept denying the appropriate doctor that I needed to have that was a specialist, I sought help through an oral cancer foundation, and I was immediately led to support groups, the main government website that tells you how to adjust to your new life as a disfigured human being that cannot speak properly, cannot enjoy their food because they cannot chew properly, because they are losing their teeth or will lose all of them at some point, have developed severe issues with swallowing due to dysphagia, which is a contraction of the esophagus So you can no longer swallow certain vegetables if they're not cooked really soft, or eat certain fruits. And for me, this ended up being quite a bit out of my diet. But in order to survive it, I would force things down anyway, which led to more of a disaster. And I sat in a support group for a grand total of one time, because there was absolutely nothing there that was going to help oral cancer patients, patients with issues with the head and neck that had been irritated, other than to let off steam and further commiserate and horribilize about how difficult their lives were. And the reason I was dead set against becoming a part of this was because I knew that people could be restored, just like women with breast cancer can be restored if they choose to do so. I knew that there were ways that patients could be helped, but none of it was being shared with the public. Later on, many, many years after my diagnosis, I found out that only married women of a certain social and financial status were told of the reconstructive surgeries that were available to those who had been disfigured. And one resolution, one reconstructive surgery is jaw replacement. It is the free flap surgery where they take the fibula bone. And in grafting, there are other areas that they can harvest it out of your body so that you will not reject tissue that it isn't familiar with. But none of this was available. I ended up appealing my case when things were going to the worst end of this. And the final judge that took a look at it listed me as invalid and denied my opportunity to go to court to face the insurance company that had been denying me. When I did more research, I found out that I wasn't the first case, that there were other patients that were trying to fight. And I read of where one had ended up in court, and the judge said, look, it's not going to hurt you to live off of a liquid diet. Well, living off of a liquid diet is one thing, but when your teeth and bones are rotting and disintegrating, and infection is spreading throughout your body, it will, at one point, go to your brain and kill you, if it is in the head. And I couldn't for the life of me understand why doctors were not in control of the say-so of whether or not a patient who had been irradiated could get the treatment, the life-saving treatment that they needed to have. And why was it falling into the hands of judges who knew nothing about medicine, nothing about radiation poisoning, bone death of the jaw? This kind of behavior in society is a reflection of medical ignorance. It is a reflection of the coarseness, the density that has taken hold of the majority of a population through lack of education. Now, when I brought this up in a number of magazine articles, of course, I was rejected. And those were by patients' advocates groups. They didn't want to hear about any of this. As long as I sugarcoated that I had survived cancer on the first round after a late diagnosis, they didn't want to hear the rest. They didn't care that it was life-threatening. I approached podcasts that were developed by doctors. I, in depth, shared my story, and every time I was denied access to have a voice. And so, at this stage of the game, I have decided to completely go it alone to bring this truth out. Because I'm going to tell you something. When you are lied to by the system and told there isn't enough money, you better believe that something is being hidden, because there is plenty of money for everything else. And why is it that the truth about radiation damage has been kept under wraps for so long? Head and neck cancer patients, 2% of them live a normal life after they have been irradiated and disfigured. Your face is your window to the world. Your voice, your mouth, how you present yourself is everything when you are applying for a job. Even more so when you are self-employed, trying to promote the work that you do. And none of this is taken seriously except by a handful of physicians. But truthfully, I have never in my life, in 22 years, met any advocates. As high as the suicide rate is, as many people whose right to work, right to make a decent living without succumbing to total poverty and restrictions. And not only that, the judgment that is placed on them for having gotten the disease in the first place when people don't know the real facts. Oral cancer is not always caused by smoking or chewing tobacco or HPV through oral sex, for that matter. Some people live in cancer clusters, in neighborhoods where everybody gets sick with some kind of a cancer, where their animals get sick. That was my case. I lost 3 of my dogs and 2 of my cats with it, all relatively close to when I came down with it. Medical ignorance is promoted by big pharma in many cases in order to push specific injections that I believe have the capacity to do a heck of a lot of damage. And there have been reports of this. Yet, the blunt truth about the suffering is covered up. It's time to move forward in educating ourselves medically and understanding what it is going to take to get your point across. And that's not just for oral cancer, head and neck. That's for anything that you are dealing with. So, in closing, if you have a doctor that isn't listening to you, that isn't taking you seriously, that will not write you a referral for a specialist when you know that's what you need to have, complain. Use your voice. And don't stop until your HMO grants you another doctor. Seek a second opinion. And this is the thing. Most people tell me, I don't want to deal with it, Cynthia. I don't want to be on the phone, Cynthia. And they're doubled over in pain. They have a suspicious lump. And they don't get it addressed. and then it spirals into something that turns out to be very serious. I wish you all the love of my heart as you go forth. And if you do want to get in touch with me to give a donation to help me out, I would greatly appreciate it. I wish you much love and many blessings.